Jennifer forecast. Mainly sunny skies and calm today, with daytime highs approaching 83. Winds out of the south, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Chance for scattered thunderstorms. Tonight, lows level off around 65. Overcast skies. Scattered thunderstorms again. Tomorrow, highs level off around 81. Cloudy skies. Hear weather twice an hour or online anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com. Currently, it's 59.
5 minutes after 7 o'clock is news time on the WHOW Morning Show. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded local newscast brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. It took nearly a year, but the long journey of DeWitt County settling on how to use funds from its American Rescue Plan Act have finally been settled. Thursday night at the DeWitt County Board meeting, the board voted on how to allocate roughly $3.3 million. Dan Matthews, with the help from County Administrator Dee Dee Rentmeister, brought forward a rough outline of funding for entities and nonprofits that applied for a piece of the pie that the county board made available.
I have ARPA funds at $3 million. It's a little bit over that. If you look at DD's, it's $3,037,000. What we spent so far is about 1.2, subtracting the 493 and the additional 230 that I just mentioned. Leaves us committed of about 1.9 million, and so the leftover money is just over $1 million, $1,078,000, as Mr. Newberg said. And if you look at the Chastain, there's 750,000, 800,000, that has been identified that we need here over the next 2-3. Some of them could go a little bit longer, but probably needs to be done in that 3-year period, which kind of falls in where we need to spend this money. So that's just the starting point. So some of you have probably put other items down, and so
the proposal makes available funds for a small business grant program that would help to be administered through the DeWitt County Development Council. Matthews deferred to Megan Myers to help explain that program.
And then the last item that I added on there is the DCDC grant program for $30,000. I've talked with Megan, so Megan, if you want to kind of talk about small business, get your idea of what we could do with that. Talk briefly on the phone about having DCDC help us put out some grants to small businesses that were hurt by COVID. And so you've kind of been pushing that all along. I think it's a great idea to do something like that, have them help us manage it. We wouldn't give them the money. The money would still come from the county, but they would help us to put that program out there.
Right. We've got a DCDC meeting later this month, and the thought would be to, and I sent Kurt Holman, who's the new director, additional information in regards to what qualifies, what other counties have been doing in regards to small business assistance, to see if we can help the board get through a lot of this. Maybe there's some opportunities out there that we can allocate a small amount for business grants or something to help people recover from COVID. They still are incurring additional costs. It's hard to find people to work, and so looking through and trying to make sure we've got a good handle on what's allowed, what would meet qualifications, and most of the businesses that we did even have to apply fall in the travel and tourism industry, which is considered a disadvantaged business in the situation. I thought it was maybe just kind of keep in the back of our minds that DCDC can do a little more research, maybe present something for the board to consider to help some of the businesses out there that may need some assistance. So that's just a thought, but we want to get more information to the board after the meeting.
In reviewing applications for ARPA funds, Buck Carter found a common theme among the first responder applications for chest compressors for heart attack patients. He felt it would be a worthy investment to provide the area fire departments, each with a unit, and 3 units for the DeWitt County EMS.
Well, one of the things I would like to address is I think there's nothing more important to us in this county than our emergency services, whether it be the volunteer fire department, the EMS, the 911s, police departments, the sheriff's departments. At some point in time in our life, we all depend on them, and when we want them, we want them 5 minutes earlier than when they show up. But I guarantee you they do show up, and they show up when you call them. So one of the things when I was going through the applications that I noticed is that there were several requests in there for this Lucas chest compression system, which costs $22,767.57. I guarantee you, if you have a heart attack and this response team shows up at your house, you're going to hope they got one of those, because it's a long ride to town in an ambulance or back of a fire truck getting chest compressions by hand. So one of the things that I'm going to propose is that we look at that chest compression system individually. I see there's a need for 8 of them. I think the DeWitt County EMS needs 3, Wapella Fire Department, Kenny Fire Department, Farmer City Fire Department, Weldon Fire Department, and Waynesville Department should each have one. That comes to a total of $182,140.56. That's my proposal for the first item that we need to earmark some money for.
What was it again, Bob?
Pardon?
182 what?
$182,140.56. I noticed when the finance committee was going through, when they looked at EMS, they put down like they do, EMS asks for 3. They thought, well, we'll give you 2. Well, that's great, you give them 2. I hope the ambulance that shows up at your house is not the one that doesn't have one. You know, they got 3 ambulances, so why wouldn't you give them 3? It just don't make sense to me. So I think we should provide the funds for 8 of these to these departments to start off with. And then I also believe that this request from the County Fire Department for their $134,725 is reasonable. I'd like to recommend we do that. And we'll make a matching contribution to the Farmer City Fire Department.
Aaron Kmeyer continued his calls for the board to establish guidelines for the money and for there to be more clarity. So for those that applied, Kmeyer wondered if the county was planning to take care of the entirety of its building needs with ARPA funding, which seemed to be the consensus.
So are we planning on taking care of all of the infrastructure projects within the county buildings solely with ARPA funds, or are we?
No, we've taken some of the escrow money
Correct.
and moved that into the budget for this coming year, which was what, 300,000?
Yeah.
So, no, to answer your question is no.
Well, it's like the roof replacement. It was recommended that be done over the next 3 to 5 years.
The roof was
The roof was 1 to 2.
1 to 2 years.
Yeah. Right, so when you get to the tuck pointing and some of those other things,
Yeah.
that is like
So you-
over 3 to 5 years.
So you can build that into the budget to do a little bit every year.
Right.
I submitted a spreadsheet, a matrix, prioritization matrix of how to start to weight the need of some of these applications, and kind of in germane to some of the conversations we had earlier around we're doing things for the 911 center, it's good for the county, we're doing things for the jail, it's good for the county as a whole. I can't see why we aren't prioritizing the emergency services and EMS and fire first responders ahead of any and all the other projects. In fact, even ahead of some of the projects that we've done for the county at this point. Everybody doesn't think about it until they need it, like Buck says, and when they need it, then they're on Facebook complaining about it. Or they're attending their funeral or whatever it might be, unfortunately. I think we need to go back and reprioritize this list. I mean, like you said, YMCA, $150,000.
Kmeyer felt the board did not have a plan in place for how they wanted to proceed with the funds, and board members took exception to that notion. Board Chair Terry Ferguson hoped the board would focus on requests that had a lasting impact and not temporary things.
But we have spent $1.1 million already on the county, or 1.2 to be exact. It's not like we've neglected the county. We've almost spent half of the funds that are been allocated already to the county. And now what I'm hearing is we really want to spend 2/3 of the funds solely on the county facilities.
I agree, and I see no problem with it.
I don't have a problem with it if that would have been the decision 18 months ago or 12 months ago when we started this charade. But we did go out and tell all these people, hey, we got this money, we want to help you out, without any plan or any just way of how we're going to do it. And we've just kind of been flying by the seat of our pants. And now we've got people that are like, hey, what's going on here? Now we're deciding to make rules and conditions on how we want to distribute the funds, which is fair, but it's not fair to the people in the county as a whole. And we're making it up as we go.
Well, I think that's the way this whole COVID thing's been. You make it up as you go. From the feds all the way down. I think what we need to focus on, we got requests for hiring a band for a festival. Fireworks for the 4th of July. Well, y'all know what fireworks are. They look real pretty and then they're gone. I think we need to focus on brick and mortar and things that'll be substantial and be here after the
So where are we going
money's spent.
Where are we going to clearly articulate to the public how we choose to distribute the funds? Like you just said, you want to hire a band for the festival, that's not really a good use, or we don't think that's what I'm trying to get to, is clear expectations to the public about what we're doing here and not making it seem like we're just willy-nilly making
Well, I think we're
decisions.
picking and choosing what we want. I mean, it doesn't make any difference. I mean, some of these other programs.
So how is that fair to somebody to,
Well, I don't think it is fair.
No, that's what I mean, is we should have established guidelines of what we want to do with the funds, and then be clear about it and communicate that to the people that have taken the time to develop the application.
Well, I think we gave everybody, it's our job as a board to do difficult things like this. The board had an opportunity to speak, and anyone that had over 3 votes, so I'm gonna assume a lot of people didn't even put in their vote, we're covered. We're giving them money. Every one of those, we're giving money. So I think we're doing our job.
I agree.
And I don't think, here's what I don't think we have to answer to the public, but I think anyone who looked at this objectively is gonna say we did a pretty damn good job at this.
I agree 100%, and Mr. Cameron sits there and says, we've gone willy-nilly for the last 12 months or 18 months. I don't believe that. That's his opinion. I respect your right to have that opinion. But I do not agree with that.
It's a free country.
That's right.
But if I don't think all 12 of us would ever agree with who needs to get the money. I mean, everybody has their own.
But it'd be
opinion.
nice to have a clear process that we have all followed instead of.
Well, I don't think that there has ever been a clear process.
Exactly, that's my point. That's my whole point. Because nobody knows where they
Like
stand.
starting out on this, I don't think anybody realized that the community would come out and ask for $6.5 million out of a $3 million pie.
But when they did, we could have had an opportunity at that point to start to maybe put some thought into it, and we didn't. In the meantime,
I've been thinking about this for 12 months.
I agree.
We've been talking about it for,
so for 12 months, we couldn't come up with a plan for how to distribute it. I mean, that's
I
my
think we
point.
did.
Yeah, finally, after that, we had people come and
We gotta
complain.
get to it sometime, right?
The YMCA's request for $150,000 seemed to be one the board reduced to afford the chest compressors for first responders. The issue became, should the Clinton Fire Department be given a chest compressor, or should it fall on the city of Clinton to decide to fund things for the fire departments?
I'm in agreement with Dan's list and swapping the 50,000 out of the YMCA, but I believe we should also fund a compression device for all the fire districts.
That'd be another 3. I totally agree with that.
They may not have put an application out, but why make the people of that district suffer because a few people at the firehouse didn't want to fill out an application?
You're
You
thinking
know,
an additional $69,000 approximately?
You're looking at 2 units.
That's
Travis, I
Three more
understand what you're
units,
saying,
because
because technically,
well,
the harbor city.
Assuming we still get not asked to.
Assuming we're still 3 or 2 for EMS.
We asked you for more
I mean,
money.
they have their own, we're not buying it with us. I mean, we're helping,
I don't know. I just don't understand why you don't invite somebody.
I think with this money, we could save some lives, we could afford to give the other districts one too.
And so there's really, I don't think that they have that.
Supposed to be in Farmer City.
No.
Supposed to be sent in Farmer City, show them here.
Well, to their point, they said earlier, some of them are out of county. I mean, they're
Oh,
running people.
If they're on the go. Excuse me, all 3 are operational.
I got a question here for Brian. Does the Clinton Fire Department have a chest compressor machine? Okay. So was Clinton in that count, Buck?
No, I didn't include Clinton in that count.
So now it's 9.
I didn't
Well,
know.
why would we,
Well, somebody said the
why
city
would
of
Clinton,
Clinton.
City of Clinton not take care of their?
Why would the city of, I agree,
That's.
I mean, they receive
100%.
100%.
Trying to get that.
Yeah, all the villages in the county got money.
As the board put more clarity on the amounts for each applicant, the conversation then shifted to accountability and how to get money to each group. Rentmeister explained it would need to be determined if the groups would spend the money, then be reimbursed or given the money, and provide receipts of purchase.
Once we approve this and the money is distributed, whose job is it to follow up that the project was completed, they used the money correctly? Is that our consultant?
I'll let Dee Dee explain that.
Yeah, 'cause I'm gonna have our grant requirement to, I have to do periodic reports and I have to show them. So the documentation is going to have to come in to show that, either receipts were paid and we reimburse them. And that's something that I think we're gonna have to discuss too.
Right.
Are we gonna do a reimbursement? Are we gonna give it up front and then they give us receipts
Right.
to,
I just want all the groups that are getting the funds to know what it's for and this is what you're using it for. If not, you don't get the funds.
yeah, we're gonna have to come up, I agree, we're gonna have to come up with something with, and each group may be a little bit different, they may need the funds up front. Or,
They may be able to spend it.
and then we reimburse them, so.
Yeah, pay the bill.
I just want the other fire departments that were given the chest compression devices to use it for that and not say.
Well, or do we order,
let's buy
something like that,
We
we
ordered
could place
9.
the order and then give it to them,
Okay.
so.
County Clerk Dana Smith provided one last breakdown of the funds and how they would be distributed.
Okay, it says Walpella Fire, $22,767.57. The Clinton YMCA, $100,000. Kenny Fire, $125,000. Farmer City Fire, $125,000. DeWitt EMS, $68,302.71. Farmer City Police, $17,900. DeWitt County Friendship Center, $64,000. Celebrate Clint, that one came off. CH Moore Homestead, $28,225. Neighborhood Care Center, $25,000. The Vault, $25,000. American Legion, Farmer City, if I'm correct, $70,000. DCDC Grant Program, $30,000. And I don't know what CCDF is.
Clinton Community Educational Foundation.
Okay, Clinton Community Education Foundation, $15,000. And then Weldon, Waynesville, and Clinton Fire Districts, a total of $68,302.71. For a grand total, $784,497.99.
The board had been set to discuss the funding earlier this month, but the agenda for the meeting was not posted in time for the set date and time, so it was canceled. The board unanimously approved the funding. If you're interested in becoming a Master Gardener through the University of Illinois Extension, there is a rare fall training opportunity. According to Terry Miller Casey, Extension Director for the University of Illinois Extension in Logan, Menard, and Sangamon counties, the training is both in person in Logan County, and there are several ways to participate.
Yeah, well, normally we do our Master Gardener training in the unit in the spring. And then if you want to join, you wait until the next year in spring. But we've had enough interest that we're actually going to be opening up a fall Master Gardener training course. So maybe some folks that spring doesn't always work out for, here's a fall opportunity. And so we're actually going to offer multiple ways to do it as well. There's the hybrid training, which is partly online and partly in person, meeting together with all the cohort. And then there's also an online-only version, which, really anyone from any part of the state could participate in, and it doesn't have the in-person opportunities, but it is all online. It's self-paced, and the person can do the modules as they have time and in order that they want to do them in. And there's also, among those, some different opportunities. Some people just want to take the Master Gardener course. They want to learn the material. They want to learn more, increase their horticultural skills more. Some folks want to actually become Master Gardener volunteers to go out and help educate the public, which the motto of the Master Gardeners is helping others learn to grow. So some folks want to go ahead and become volunteers. So we offer 2 different tracks.
To be a part of the hybrid course, the deadline for registration is this coming Monday, August 22nd. Miller Casey indicates the online-only course begins September 12th, and you can get that completed all the way into October.
And so for our hybrid, the deadline actually is August 22nd, so it's coming right up. So if you think you might want to join Master Gardeners and you would like to do the hybrid, or you do a little online and you do some in person, we're going to need to hear from you by August 22nd. And you can go on our website and fill out a contact form or hit our email address, or you can always call us at the Springfield office, which is 217-782-4617, and reach out, and we'd be happy to get you the application and start that process. For the online only one, you got a little bit more time because it doesn't start until September 12th. So you would just need to complete the registration that's available on our website, and then the modules open up starting September 12th, and they go through October. So you'd have that entire period of time to finish the course.
Master Gardeners not only learn the core lessons of horticulture, but they are very versatile to go out to the community and connect in a variety of ways and be out as active or behind the scenes as a volunteer may want.
First off, it gives them great knowledge, and so that they really learn a lot about the core areas of horticulture. And the next is the opportunity to go and help us help others. We have one horticultural educator, and she's fantastic, but she can't go everywhere and be everywhere. So what our Master Gardeners are what I call a force multiplier. They can go out into other gardens, or they can go to speak to the public, or they can do a program like we do programs here in Logan County at the Oasis Senior Center, and they can go out and do programs and reach way more people than we could by ourselves. They also do demonstration gardens. There's many opportunities for Master Gardeners. They can work a help desk where they sit and answer phone calls or emails from folks who are having problems. They're really, depending on the different desires of the volunteer, it's limitless. Some people like to sit and answer questions. Some people like to give the full-blown demonstrations. Some people like to work in the demonstration gardens. So there's an opportunity depending on whatever the person's desire is to help volunteer.
If you're interested in becoming a Master Gardener, Miller Casey explains there are some basic requirements they have. For instance, there is a minimum hours requirement for volunteering, but she points out many volunteers generally go well over that threshold because of how much they enjoy it.
Yeah, well, there is a certain amount of hours that we do ask our volunteers to put forth every year to maintain a Master Gardener, and sometimes that can vary. And obviously, during COVID, we had a little bit different hours that are associated with it. But the Master Gardeners, as part of their training, they also get called the Master Gardener Pay Up Letter booklet, which talks about their quote-unquote obligation to volunteer. But what we find is our volunteers usually volunteer way more hours than they're required every year because they truly enjoy it. And there's a certain amount of training hours, and I'm thinking it's 50. I wish Jennifer was here. She knows it perfectly. But after you put in that many hours, then you are no longer like an in-training Master Gardener. You are a full-fledged Master Gardener. And then every year you just maintain a certain amount of hours to keep your status. And sometimes people have to take breaks. You know, you've got something going on, maybe you've got an illness you're getting over. That's okay. We can put you on pause, and then when you come back, we'll fire you back up again. So, you know, it's not like, I didn't make it this year because I had life things happening. I'm not a Master Gardener anymore, and it's not all the case. We definitely work with folks because we know that there are volunteers, and we are just grateful to have them in their service, and we want to accommodate them.
Miller Casey says Master Gardeners have had a demonstration garden that is an ongoing project at the Illinois State Fair. If you missed that opportunity at this year's fair, she points out it's available for viewing at any time as it's maintained throughout the growing season. You can get more information about the upcoming Master Gardeners fall training opportunity by visiting extension.illinois.edu. The deadline again for the hybrid offering is this coming Monday, August the 22nd. News time is 29 minutes after the hour. Get news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
We often use the term full service, but what does that really mean? This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. Full service means we provide solutions for your transportation